There is a silent, invisible alarm triggering in your backyard every single time you step outside. And you're the one pulling the trigger. Not because you mean to and not because you're doing anything wrong. It's just that your body, the way it moves, how you breathe, even how your eyes land on things is broadcasting a signal to every bird within range that their nervous systems are hardwired to treat as a 5-alarm emergency. And the strangest part? You've been doing it your entire life, and you never even knew it existed. Just notice what happens the next time you step onto your porch. If you pay attention, I mean really pay attention, you'll catch it. A fraction of a second after that door opens, the yard changes. The robin that was just working the grass near the fence post stops. The sparrows at the feeder tighten up. That background noise that was filling the air 30 seconds ago, it just vanishes. Most people assume this is just birds being skittish, prey animals doing what prey animals do. But here's the weird part. It isn't general. It isn't random. The silence that falls when you step outside is precisely calibrated to you, to your specific kinetic signature, to the exact energy your body emits in the first 3 seconds of entering that space. Scientists who study something called flight initiation distance, basically the gap between a predator and a prey animal, where the prey decides to bolt, have found that birds don't just respond to a human being, they respond to the data the human is emitting in real time. You aren't just a person to them, you're a moving equation, and they are solving it before your foot has even fully cleared the threshold. But it doesn't stop there, because while you're standing there scanning the yard, something is scanning you back with a level of focus you almost certainly haven't matched. At any given moment, somewhere in the trees, on the fence line, or hidden in a hedge, there is at least one bird in full sentinel mode. It isn't foraging, it isn't calling out, it's just watching, and it is specifically watching your eyes, because in the evolutionary vocabulary of almost every prey species on this planet, the direction of a large animal's gaze is the single most critical piece of threat data they have. Where your eyes go, danger follows. That is a rule millions of years old, and no amount of living alongside humans has ever overwritten it. Think about this for a second. The bird isn't watching your hands, it isn't watching your feet, it is locked onto the vector of your attention. It's tracking exactly where you're looking to figure out what you might be thinking about. Right now, if you were standing in your yard and scanning the trees, that sentinel would have already registered the sweep pattern of your days and made a preliminary classification. You've been scanned, you've been filed, and the yard is already adjusting around you. This is where it gets really interesting, because the alarm isn't just triggered by you being there, it's triggered by 5 specific things you do. And the first one, honestly, most people would never guess it. It's your eyes. I don't mean what you're looking at. I mean how you're looking. See, when you make direct, sustained eye contact with a bird, that natural, lingering gaze you get when you're just admiring how beautiful it is, the bird's brain doesn't see admiration. It doesn't see curiosity. It sees a predator stalk. Think about it. Every major land predator these birds have evolved to fear: hawks, cats, snakes. They all share one thing. The second before they strike, they go dead still, and they stare. That combination is so reliably linked to "I'm about to be eaten" that birds have developed a hair-trigger reaction to it. It doesn't matter what your intentions are. So, when you see a chickadee and you hold your gaze because you think it's pretty, to that bird, you just locked onto your target. Your appreciation and a hawk's hunting behavior are, to them, exactly the same thing. The fix, by the way, is what veteran wildlife photographers learn pretty quickly: soft eyes. Keep your gaze unfocused. Look near the bird, not directly at it. It changes everything. But the eyes are just the start. Here's something nobody really talks about: your movement. Behavior 2 is erratic limb movement. You know, gesturing while you're on the phone, reaching up to fix your hair, swatting at a boat to a bird nearby. Those are all motor patterns of a predator. Hawks dive, cats swipe, herons strike. These are all fast, sudden, asymmetrical movements coming from your center. That's exactly what a human looks like from the hedge line when they're moving around. But here's a part that actually gets kind of unsettling. Behavior 3, your walking pace. Think about your normal, relaxed walk when you're just wandering around the yard. That pace? It mathematically mimics a hunting cat. It's not because you look like a cat, but because the tempo is identical. A hunting cat moves in short, irregular bursts, punctuated by pauses. A human just exploring the yard does the exact same thing. Stop, look, walk, stop, look, walk. To a bird that's been calibrated over millions of years, to see that rhythm as the last thing it sees before an ambush, your Sunday afternoon stroll is basically indistinguishable from something that eats birds. You aren't relaxed to them. You're hunting. Now, flip this around. Because behavior 4, that's about when you aren't moving at all. You can stand perfectly still. You can keep your eyes soft. You can peep as deliberate as you want, and you can still clear the yard. Here's why that happens. Stress changes your chemistry. It shifts your heart rate and the way you breathe. And birds, especially the ones that have been around you enough to know what you usually sound like, they pick up on those micro variations. It's not just about what they see, it's about low-frequency sound and the subtle vibrations traveling through the air. Your breath, when you're frustrated or anxious, just sounds different. The rhythm is tighter. The micro-tremors are different. To a bird that's heard your calm, normal breathing dozens of times, today's version of you just sounds wrong. And when something you know starts acting wrong near a prey animal, it triggers one of the oldest rules in survival. If someone you know is acting weird, treat them as compromised, and treat whatever compromised as threat. Your bad morning just became their reason to evacuate. But here's the really strange part about behavior 5, and honestly, this is the one that usually catches people off guard. It's your shape. Not just your face or the way you walk, but the actual outline of your body against the sky. See, birds don't just recognize you. They keep this mental template of your silhouette, the specific shape their brains have filed under. This human is known, and they aren't trying to kill me. But the second that silhouette changes, their whole system goes on alert. Think about it. You raise your arm to take a photo, and suddenly your outline has this weird extended appendage pointing at them. You put on a wide-brimmed hat, and your head shape doesn't match the file they have stored. You carry a rake or a long-handled tool. You've just tripled your width and added something they don't have a safe category for. You haven't actually become dangerous. But in their eyes, you've become unverified. And in a world where you're constantly being hunted, unverified basically means threat until proven otherwise. This changes everything. It makes you realize the birds aren't reacting to you, they're reacting to the gap between who you usually are and who you are in that exact moment. You're the baseline. Anything that drifts from that, it pulls the trigger. And this is where we usually get it totally backwards. We see a bird fly away and we feel a little rejected, right? Like they're being oversensitive or dramatic. But flip that perspective for a second. These birds live in a reality where if they guess wrong about a large animal's intentions, they don't get a second chance. Prey animals don't get oops moments. The cost of trusting the wrong human or misreading a stare is final. So what looks like an overreaction to us is, for them, a perfectly tuned survival tool that's been sharpened over millions of years. That speed, that's not anxiety, that's mastery. It's a system so refined it can read your emotional state just by the way you're breathing or where you're looking. When you see birds scatter, you aren't watching nervous, flighty animals. You're watching an intelligence that has learned not to take a single thing for granted. So, the next time you step outside and the whole yard just goes dead silent, the robin freezes, the sparrows tighten up, and that sentinel in the hedge locks onto your eyes, try to understand what you're actually standing in. You're a permanent, influential part of a living system that's been studying you for way longer than you've been paying attention. Every morning you walk out there, they update your file. Every little change in your routine gets logged. Every calm, slow, soft-eyed morning you give them, that's a deposit into a relationship you can't see, but they absolutely can. You aren't just a bystander in your own backyard. You're one of the biggest variables in it. Which brings me to what I'm actually curious about. Out of those 5 behaviors, the staring, the sudden movements, the way you pace, the stress in your breath, or changing your silhouette, which one do you think you've been doing without even realizing it? Drop a comment and let me know, because I have a feeling most of you are going to realize you're guilty of at least 3.